Driver 1, the allocated first drivers heading out onto the circuit for this session. A packed grid of GT3 cars ready to go racing, ready for qualifying in Ricard. There you see the FIBA Motorsport car coming out onto the circuit. Plenty of Mercedes here. We've got some singleton entries from McLaren. The Optimum Motorsport car is the only McLaren out there. We've also got Aston Martin with us for the first time in the 2022 season, courtesy of Street Art Racing. We've also got a second Audi this weekend. Great to have the Aust Motorsport team with us for the first time in the 2022 season. We ride on board then with Nick Moss in the Optimum McLaren. If you think that the audio is slightly out of sync, I think you're right. I think that's a V10 that we're getting from a different car there, but the Optimum McLaren running through the first sector now on the outlap. The session already live. When we started this broadcast, it's half an hour of qualifying. A few drivers are just starting their first flying laps now, and I'm sure there will be a few drivers keen to get a benchmark lap in early.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Adam. It's a pleasure to be back with you again, certainly here for GTOpen. Of course, the first round was wonderful at Estoril. I think we're going to be seeing something certainly spectacular here at Paul Ricard. Certainly Nick Moss and Joe Osborne, tenacious characters that we saw last time out, battling for the win. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. They did come up against the likes of Team Oregon, who had a wonderful weekend at Estoril. The question is, can they convert it again this weekend? Erwin Zanotti as well, currently on the top. Obviously, waiting for the drivers to complete their outlaps to get ready for the fast runs here at this point. Of course, Nick Moss and Joe Osborne last season at Paul Ricard, they were fighting with the likes of Jordan Pepper and Ivan Pecklin in the first race. They were letting fly, trying to catch them. Unfortunately, they had to stay in second place, but I'm sure, given that partnership, Joe Osborne is certainly a very, very good quality driver. McLaren, of course, part of the team, has been with them for a number of years. Of course, Nick Moss himself loves a challenge and competing under the pro category as well this season. So I have to say, you've got to credit that bravery, certainly, to say the least.
Yes, I mean, he's a bronze-rated driver, is Nick Moss, but he went, you know what, let's go full tilt, let's go full bore, let's go for the overall title, let's go for the pro class. There are no mechanical differences, of course, between the three classes, whether you're in Pro, Pro-Am or Am. All of the cars adhere to the same balance of performance. So we do occasionally see Pro-Am drivers right up there at the sharp end. We did see that last time, the likes of Carol Bash in the 777 car, showing very well indeed in the first round of the season at Estoril. And that 777 car actually piloted by Marcin Jedlinski for this qualifying session. Of course, it is these days an Audi on the entry list for Estoril. It was going to be a Ferrari. They ended up having some issues with the Ferrari, switched to the Audi for Estoril, and it looks like they like it because they're back in the Audi for this second round of the season too. Glenn Van Berlo in the number 19 Oregon Racing Lamborghini. This car, not the car that won both races last time out. That was the number 63 of Hites and Polcini. But Glenn Van Berlo will, I'm sure, be looking across the garage, seeing the kind of performance that we saw from the sister Oregon team car, and I think he'll be taking a swing for the first win for number 19 here this weekend.
Yeah, I spoke to Glenn Van Berlo after our last race at Estoril, and he said while it was a great team performance to see the likes of Benjamin Hites and Leonardo Polcini up at the top end, of course he wants his team to do better. He wants more from the race weekend, as you would expect, as we now see the time start to flicker through. Jedlinski currently on top of the billing, landing a purple sector 3 at 205.454, the current top time. There is the car that's obviously being driven by the likes of Janine Schaffner and, of course, her teammate right now, Moritz Kranz, currently sat in 5th place, now being dropped down to 6th as Bernard Laber moves up into 4th. Now Laurent de Meus moves into 4th as well. We've got a string of Ferraris, P2, 3 and 4. Omar Jackson in 2nd place with Murat Radaroglu in 3rd and Laurent de Meus in in 4th place. Now, there's been a couple of conversations. Christodoulou now lands a top time here, of course. Theba Motorsport here announcing their official team. Theba Motorsport with a very different group of mechanics this week. Of course, I spoke to Adam after the races on the weekend, and he said that we're coming here with a fresh perspective, new team, but we're still confident that we can go out and claim a race win. That is the goal, he said.
Yeah, I see no reason to change that. I was actually speaking to a few of the faces behind Theba Motorsport. It was basically all pulled together in the last 2 months. They weren't at the pre-season test at Barcelona, Theba Motorsport, and that's because Theba Motorsport didn't exist yet, and they currently weren't sure whether or not this was going to happen. The team has been pulled together in record time, and it's a very strong-looking team as well. Some hugely experienced people in the garage here, and a driver with the quality of Adam Christodoulou, a driver as familiar with Mercedes GT3 machinery as Adam Christodoulou, who among other things has taken a Nürburgring 24-hour victory at the wheel of one of these AMG GT3s. You couldn't wish for a better driver to provide feedback, and in Rima Jafali, that makes a really solid pairing, because Jafali running in the Pro-Am class with Adam Christodoulou. We saw, of course, 2 victories in Pro-Am last time for Christodoulou and Jafali, an overall podium in the 2nd race as well. They really do look like one of the strongest outfits out there this year.
Yeah, it's obviously they were understandably delighted with the results as well, and what a story as well behind the team. And of course, Rima Jafali and her rise now moving up here into the International GTOpen. Of course, the partnership between her and Adam Christodoulou certainly in full force, and right now on top billing as well. Adam Christodoulou doing very well indeed. Of course, the purple lap currently being set in Sector 2 as he now rounds the final corner and makes his way down towards the start-finish line. Let's see what Adam Christodoulou can do at this point as he makes his way across the line and does set a purple lap again. 201.261, level in fact with Axel Jeffries, who crosses the line as well behind him in the Ferrari as well. So incredible stuff, matching times, incredible.
Axel Jeffries, who of course looked so competitive in qualifying at Estoril at the last round at the start of May. In the Sunday qualifying, Jeffries carried on finding time, and then the car carried on having technical issues as well. He had to Control-Alt-Delete the car, I think on 3 different occasions. Every time he went over those abrasive curbs at Estoril, it seemed to unsettle the car a bit. But Jeffries will be hoping to show some more of that kind of pace here in this session. He's purple in the 1st sector. I'm sure we're going to see the times go down and down and down throughout this session, especially when they kind of have that break in the middle. They switch the tyres and they go for a final run. Towards the end, I'm sure we're going to see times improve and improve. You see there both Christodoulou and Jeffries wrestling the car through the middle phase of the chicane on the Mistral straight. And these two, of course, the pro elements of their respective Pro-Am teams. And 2 of the fastest drivers we have out there. Look at Jeffries' splits. He's 6.5 tenths purple at the moment on Christodoulou's 201.261. That would put him well down into the 2-minute barrier, but oh, he pushed a bit too hard into 11 there, into the braking zone. He asked a bit too much of the rear tyres, and sure enough, I think most of that 6.5 tenths has gone.
Yeah, it's come tumbling down at that point. I mean, I was obviously looking ahead at Paul Ricard and looking at the different teams, the different cars that we have on offer here. The Ferrari certainly seems to have the handle of straight-line speed, so they will be, I think, more tenacious down the long straights. But heading into the corners, you've got to look at the likes of your Lamborghinis. So the likes of Team Oregon, they might be more favourable in the first sectors, the final sector as well. The middle sector, though, is a great opportunity for Axel Jeffries and the Ferrari to unleash itself. And here again, a 2 flat. A 2 flat. It didn't hinder him too much, Adam. A 2.00822. I tell you what, that's not bad at all.
2 minutes, 0.8 then for Axel Jeffries. Good time from him, 4.5 tenths purple, even with that moment at turn 11. I thought that was the kind of thing that normally you'd just go, right, cool, I'll abandon this lap and I'll go again. But he carried on going, and sure enough, I think he took a bollard out just there as well at turn 3, sorry. But Jeffries still with the fastest time of the session so far. Here's Glenn Van Berlo coming across the line. He did not improve on that occasion, 202.341 for Van Berlo. But I'm sure we'll see more out of this car, bouncing as they approach turn 1. Just getting a wheel on the curb. These GT3 cars, what I love about GT3 cars is you can see when the drivers are taking liberties. You can see when they're pushing to the limit. They really do bounce and shake around. Look at the counter steering there through turn 3. He was opposite locking all the way through the braking zone there. Goodness me, Glenn. This is quite the push lap by the looks of it. Let's see what the first sector looks like. It's not even a personal best, so he's pushing on, but maybe just pushing on a bit too much right now. He's trying to find the pace. He's trying so hard, and it's always good to see these onboard views, isn't it? Glenn Van Berlo then down the long straight here, the Mistral straight. You've got to make sure you're awake. Notice these boards on the inside of the corner, because here comes the sharp braking for the chicane. Across the curb, take every liberty you possibly can. Coming out of turn 9, he follows at the moment Moritz Kranz in the number 9 Mercedes, so he's got a little bit of a pull down the Mistral straight as well. Now, turn 10 is critical. That's the corner we go through now. Senior, you can easily push too hard around here and end up with all of your wheels off the track. See the fine margins of it there with Van Berlo. He's again fighting the wheel. Oh, too much, too much. He has really got that car on the ragged edge, hasn't he? I think the brake bias is probably quite firmly to the rear at the moment. Every time he touches that brake pedal, he seems to have to wrestle it to the apex. He was pushing a little bit too far.
Yeah, it seems a little bit squirrely at the front end. You can just see it going, heading around turn 10. Obviously just losing a little bit of a step. I'll have another look at it here, folks. Here's an action replay. Just went over the curve, and you could see him earlier on in the cockpit wrestling with the car. This was the poignant point. Yeah, there we go. Just out wide there. The tail just moves slightly outwards. A little bit of a flick of the rear, but credit to his abilities to certainly drive a race car. Keeps it out onto the track. Oh, scary moment, but did well to keep hold of it.
Could have quite easily ended up in the wall there. He did very well to keep that on the straight and narrow as best he could, but yeah, that was fairly intense, I would suggest, for Glenn Van Berlo. His 786 car, Kiki Saknana, at the wheel of the Get Speed Performance machine. Another Get Speed Performance car following him in the form of Moritz Kranz. And Kiki, the Thai driver who has a legion of supporters. He is a cult hero in the automotive scene in Thailand. His many years of drifting at the highest levels. He's raced at the Nürburgring, and now he's taking on the full international GTOpen season. Moritz Kranz trying to find a way past the 786 car without causing too many issues. Kiki is going to keep his foot in it, though, because he is on a fast-looking lap, I'd say. Saknana with a decent first sector. He's down in 18th at the moment. Of course, he is an AM-class runner, along with Get Speed boss Adam Osaka. So they won't be looking for the very sharp end of the overall order, but certainly I think Kiki will be looking to get well up towards, if not in the overall top 10, he'll be looking to try and get somewhere around the top dozen. He won't be happy with starting 18th. He'll keep pushing.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Kiki had a bit of fun, I think, at Estoril. There was obviously a bit of drama in race 1. Of course, we had a few comings together. Very, very action-packed indeed. Kiki was so keen to make a great impression. He's obviously a wonderful character to meet, as we've alluded to. Very excited to participate here in the GTOpen, and we're looking forward to seeing what he can certainly do as he makes his way down the home straight, and certainly as he will pass the start-finish line down towards turn 1. That's P16 for Kiki Saknana, and here's the long-awaited reveal of the street art livery here, the Aston Martin, and makes its way. Pascal Bachmann in charge of the car, makes his way down towards turn 1. 007 emblazoned on the left-hand side. You can see there the number here as he makes his way in towards turn 1, of course. Don't you just love this multicolored livery, Adam?
It's certainly a car that we won't lose on the circuit, is it? It's one that we're going to be able to spot anywhere it goes. The number 007 running through turns 3 and 4 at the moment. Here is the Aust Motorsport Audi, a car that we saw at the pre-season test, wasn't with us in Estoril, looking to do a select campaign in the GTOpen season 2022. And at the moment, Dino Steiner at the wheel of this car. Steiner, who has done a fair bit of racing in Germany, is very much enjoying the scene here in GTOpen, and he will be looking to match his young teammate as best he can. Max Hofer, his teammate, one of the fastest drivers you can put in an Audi GT3 car, I'd wager. So he's got some very strong backup, and another incredibly potent car in Pro-Am as well. I think that this will be a car challenging for Pro-Am podiums this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. They were actually reasonably quick in practice as well, very regularly up at the top end of the order. So they'll be looking, like you say, to certainly stamp their authority on that Pro-Am category. Certainly House Motorsport with certainly a bit of heritage when it comes to GT3 racing, that's for sure. And certainly it's great to see another Audi out on the track as well, as we now watch certainly him make his way, Dino Steiner, down towards turn 1. They were out and about on a track walk yesterday and getting used to the various quirks around Paul Ricard. And of course, when you head around Sector 1, you want to make sure you get it absolutely right. It sets the tone for a good race weekend, as we now watch the car number 11 driven by Erwin Zanotti, of course. Another Ferrari out on the track. Of course, Ferraris right now being honed here by Kessel Racing as they make their way through towards the next left, and they'll make their way down the long stretch. As I said before, certainly Ferrari can make use of the Mistral straight to unleash that straight line speed power that they certainly have. Erwin Zanotti, I'm sure, will harness that to great ability and great aplomb. Currently sat in 8th place, and no doubt will fancy himself further up the order as well as he makes his way through that centre chicane. Of course, partnering Stephen Earle, who was unfortunately part of the incident at Estoril as well. Great to see Stephen Earle back with us here this weekend. I think he had a bit of a rough time, didn't he, Adam, in that one?
He did. Big accident on the first lap of the first race of the season at Estoril, and the front end of that Kessel Ferrari was in terrible condition coming out of that round. I haven't actually been able to run down to the Kessel garage yet and verify whether this is the same chassis or a new one. Certainly, I think it could have been repairable, but whether it was repairable before Paul Ricard, I don't know. Kessel, though, have a number of GT3 spec Ferraris in their home base, so even if they didn't get the original chassis repaired, I'm sure they had another teed up and ready to go. Zanotti, the young Italian driver who did some racing in the Italian GTs last year in a Honda, now moving over to Ferrari, his first time racing a Ferrari, and of course the young Italian loving that, as any young racer from Italy does. They love to see themselves at the wheel of a Ferrari. And Axel Jeffries and another Kessel Ferrari, once again slow, once again potentially issues in qualifying.
Yeah, now it makes you wonder, is that the same power issue they had, the same battery issue that we saw back in Estoril? Remember, they had problems leading up the Gancho chicane last time out. Now, is that a re-emergence of that issue? Benjamin Hites is now out on a lap as well. He's currently sat in 6th place, and of course, like I said before, this was the team that actually captured the 2 race wins at Estoril, and I'm sure they'll be looking to carry on that decent form here at Paul Ricard as well. But obviously, they've got some strong contenders, of course, their own teammates as well. Glenn Van Berlo, of course, will be looking to try and take the plaudits this time and be the centrepiece for Team Oregon this weekend. I mean, that's what you've got to wonder. I mean, albeit your teammates as part of the wider picture, but when it comes down to the fact that they're both representing the pro category, you know, is there really that much of a harmonious atmosphere there when it comes down to backing each other in Team Oregon?
I don't know. I think probably as the season wears on, especially if they're both up at the sharp ends, things will get more intense. But I'm sure there is some sharing of data and so on at this stage in the season. But Axel Jeffries once again pulled up once again with a Ferrari that doesn't seem terribly keen on moving. And unlike last time at Estoril, he's getting out of the car. So once again, Jeffries seemingly suffering problems with that 73 Kessel car. At this rate, they're just going to have to rip out every electrical part on the car and replace every single one. Poor Jeffries once again showing the pace, but I mean, let's not forget, we've still got 9 minutes of this session to go, but Axel Jeffries is currently practically 4 4.5 tenths faster than the closest competition out there on circuit. There are only 2 other cars within a second of Axel Jeffries' 2-minute .822. There's a good chance that he could get pole position here while stood on the exit of turn 7.
Yeah, he could well do.
Not ideal for Alfredo, our pit lane engineer, but you know.
No, not at all. Not at all. But no, just going back to that issue that they were having, obviously a mechanical problem would be probably more simple to fix. The problem with the electrical fault, obviously they haven't been able to find it since Estoril. It's slightly more of an issue because there can be so much wrong, I think, with the electrical problem. They can be very hard to actually stamp down and locate as well, because there's so much in these cars these days. The actual, you always need to be a technician rather than a mechanic in some aspects as well, but certainly that could cause them a few headaches heading into the race weekend. Can they capture it before the start of the race here, the first race here at Paul Ricard, or will it be an issue that lingers across the whole weekend? We'll have to wait and see, as we're now watching certainly car number 77, that being Omar Jackson, make his way around the next right, obviously representing the AM category. They came away with an AM category win last time at Estoril as well in race 1. And they'll be looking to see whether they can carry over that form again this time here at Paul Ricard as Kiki Saknana's car makes its way through the fast turn 10. There's Nick Moss, of course, representing the McLaren of Optimum Motorsport, currently sat in 7th place. He'll be looking to try and pitch his car higher up the order as well. Obviously, we've still got 7 minutes and 20 as we now take an on-board driver's view from Nick Moss's point of view. And in the 720 SGT3 for Optimum Motorsport in blazing McLaren orange. We've come so familiar to see this kind of colouring on a car like this, and wonderful to see the McLaren here on the grid order, obviously looking so tenacious as well. At Estoril we saw a gargantuan battle between them and Team Oregon. Unfortunately, it was Oregon that came out on top in the Lamborghini on that occasion for Nick Moss, but he did put up a fight, and you've got to give credit to Joe Osborne. His initial stint was tremendous as well, Adam.
Yeah, Osborne and Moss, they're very familiar with each other as co-drivers. Kind of Joe Osborne almost guided Nick Moss up into GT3 competition as one of the built-in driver coaches at McLaren. And they make a formidable duo. Great to see that they're racing with us again here in 2022, having bumped up to the pro class by decision of Nick. And there you see him there through the second corner, taking a lot of the outside curb there at turn 2. And Moss currently 7th fastest, and again it kind of shows, it kind of vindicates his own decision to jump up into pro, doesn't it? He's 7th fastest, he's right up there with the other 2 pro cars, the 2 Oregon team Lamborghinis, 7th fastest, and he's only a few hundredths off of Benji Hites, only a few tenths off of Glenn Van Derlo, even though he is a bronze rated driver, because he is, you know, an amateur driver, a gentleman driver. He is also very, very handy indeed, and all power to him. I think if he wants to go up to pro, then certainly we're not going to stop him. And yeah, he could well end up being a contender in the pro class and the overall championship as a result of that.
He has his own methods as well of getting himself ready for a race weekend as well. As you know, take another look at that. Now that's turn 10 again. Yes. And that's Murat Çuraroğlu.
It's 11. Turn 11.
Oh, turn 11, sorry. My bad. Out of turn 10 into turn 11, and he spins the car. So Murat Çuraroğlu, unfortunately unable to harness it heading around turn 11. Just lost it slightly. We did see it. Remember earlier on the Team Oregon car that got all bent out of shape heading around turn 11 as well. Of course, if you lose any part of the car, it can certainly send you into ruptures. There is Adam Christodoulou back out and about, still in 2nd place, but out on an outlap this time. We'll be looking to try and top his 2:01. Can he also join Axel Jeffries in the 2-minute flats? Now, this would be a good time to do it, certainly given the time that Axel Jeffries won't be probably setting another run for the rest of this session. So if Adam can stamp his authority now, probably a good time to do it.
Yes, well, I'm sure Axel Jeffries fancies himself an electrical engineer. I don't think that car's going to be moving out of turn 7. You can still see the car just on the barriers there at T7. So going no further in this session. We'll see if Christodoulou can go faster. Here is Giuseppe Cipriani. He's soloing again. He's down to the AM class that he's won on 2 different occasions. Alex Frasinetti not here. I think he's going to go solo for the rest of the year. You'll see a slightly different livery on the car. They've rented this car out from Imperiale Racing, friends of the GTOpen Championship, former winners of International GTOpen as well, Imperiale Racing. Of course, the initial car, the car they ran at Estoril, was involved in that first turn 5 incident at Estoril. And that chassis was for the scrap heap, I think. There was no repairing the Il Barone Rampante Lamborghini, so they've rented out another car. And let's see what Cipriani can do. He's currently up in 9th place, so he's the 2nd fastest AM, behind only Erwin Zanotti, who is the young hot shoe. He's a bronze driver, really, because he didn't spend too long down in the Formula categories. I think he did a single season in Italian Formula 4, got called up to GT racing, and he is still a bronze-rated driver, but he's one of those drivers that you can see moving up the ranks as the years go on. But Erwin Zanotti, currently the fastest AM, he's currently in the pits as well with 3 minutes to go, so I'm not sure we'll see him back out there. And we'll see whether Cipriani can maybe try and find a bit more pace to challenge for AM pole. Here's the Pro-Am car of Marcin Jedlinski, sharing with Karel Bash once again. Karel was so impressive in that race 2 at Estoril. And Bash really pressing on, isn't he? He's just behind the Pro-Am entry of Murat Rui Chahadaroglu. And here is Laurent Demius, another of the AM class drivers. Laurent had mixed fortunes, I'd say, at Estoril. He had a couple of spins, but he also had some positive results. He shares with Jamie Stanley. Stanley, of course, a driver with lots of GT racing behind him, firmly the coach to Laurent in that car. And let's see if Demius can improve. He's currently 19th fastest, and only a few tenths of Kiki Sagnana in 18th, actually. So maybe we could see Laurent lift himself off the back row.
Yeah, certainly could do. Getting closer and closer. Just needs a little bit more as, makes his way around the turn 11, turn 12 shortly. And there is Christodoulou back out and about, and he is going quicker too. And we're just watching him make his way around the next right-hander, and just keeping the whole car on the grey stuff for now. Sending it now does Adam. Of course, the Eva Motorsport now, as we said before, an official team now. Because we saw all the promo videos coming out, Rima Jafali and Adam Christodoulou very excited with the direction I think this team is taking. Of course, Rima herself, a great story here in the GTOpen Championship. We have seen so much from this team, certainly coming out on top twice. Last time out at Estoril. I'm sure they'd love to add something here at Paul Ricard, that's for sure, as we now see Christodoulou take the final corner around the pond corner, leading down the stretch, past the paddock, and crossing the start-finish line. Let's see what Christodoulou can do on this occasion. What are you going to do for us, Adam? It's P1, a two-minute flat. That's not bad at all, and over half a tenth quicker than Axel Jeffries, and that, without a shadow of a doubt, could go unchallenged.
Remember, Axel Jeffries' 2-minute .822. He was 6/10 purple on that flying lap. Then he lost a lot of time at turn 11, so he had a poor last sector. Coming through sector 2, Christodoulou was already 4/10 down, but he nailed the final sector of the lap, and he's managed to eke out pole provisionally. A 2-minute .754. Christodoulou with a strong lap here, and let's see if anyone can best him. Not too far off at the moment is Moritz Kranz for Get Speed Performance, the Axiom space car. You see there the J2 Racing decal on the back, alluding to Janine and John Schaffner. John, who I believe is here in the paddock this weekend. He did not improve on that lap time. He went 3rd fastest. Someone who does look like he's improving, one Adam Christodoulou. He's got a 10th quicker in the first sector alone. Let's see what sector 2 looks like. Is it another purple? We'll come across the sector split now, and let's see. He is purple again. So he had a strong 3rd sector, and now he's matching it with a strong 1st and 2nd. He could well be down into the very low 2 minutes here if he nails this final split of the lap. It could be pole by some way for Adam Christodoulou. Rima Jafali and the FIBA Motorsport team will be watching on with a wry smile. They know what Christodoulou can do. And well, we're seeing it here through turn 13, 14, the Virage du Pont, the final corner. It'll be critical to set that car up well. Coming out onto the long run to the start-finish line. Christodoulou around the final turn now, punches the throttle down, very smoothly executed. Is it an improvement? How low down the timing has he gone? It could even be a 59, not quite. 2-minute .313 for Adam Christodoulou. He went half a second faster to secure pole position for he and Rima Jafali. Great driving for Adam Christodoulou. We still have some drivers out there on circuit, but I don't think anyone is setting a particularly quick lap. I think it's safe to say that Christodoulou has done enough here. Great job from Adam. What a stellar lap that looked to be.
That's the perfect cherry on the cake, isn't it? You come here, announce a new team, you come to Paul Ricard, first qualifying session, and you beat P2 by half a second. That is not bad at all. Adam Christodoulou, take a bow here in this first qualifying session, that's for sure. Moritz Kranz actually managed to nestle in a third place, of course, for Get Speed, with Sebastian Bau there in fourth as well, with Glenn Van Berlo, Nick Moss, Benji Hites there in fifth, sixth and seventh. So that's the pro cars that are there in fifth, sixth and seventh, of course. And so this time you've got Glenn Van Berlo finishing ahead of teammate Benji Hites. So not a bad performance either from Glenn Van Berlo, though I'm sure he would have liked to have been at the top order, that is for sure. But one thing you can't take away, I mean, Christodoulou was right on the ragged edge heading around turn 11. He really sent it around that corner. I was watching him, he was right on the edge. He took the track literally to the limit. Any further over, it could have been an invalidation.
Really could have been. Fine margins for Adam Christodoulou. That's what the best pro drivers do. They push it right to the limit, and that's what Adam Christodoulou did. A 2-minute point 3:13 to take pole by just over half a second. Axel Jeffries, we could have seen more out of Axel. I'm quite sure of that, but unfortunately the car giving up on him with just a few minutes of the session left to go. Moritz Kranz, third fastest. Sebastian Bode making it an all Get Speed row 2 of the grid. The first of the pro class entries, only fifth. Glenn Van Berlo in the number 19. Nick Moss improved to 6th towards the end of the session there to best Benji Hites. Erwin Tanotti, 8th fastest, the first of the AMs. Giuseppe Cipriani, the defending AM champion, now back in AM once again. And Alexander Krakowina in the Man Filter Team Landgraf entry rounds out the overall top 10. The debuting Pascal Bachmann and Street Art Racing, 11th fastest in the Aston. Marcin Dedlinski next is the first of the Pro-Ams in the outside of the top 10 at least. 5th fastest of the Pro-Ams, the fastest of the AM drivers in a Pro-Am car. Dexter Muller 13th, Dino Steiner 14th, Bernard Laber and Muhat Chahadaroglu 15th and 16th. Omar Jackson in 17th position in the 77 Kessel Racing car. Kiki Saknana 18th. For Get Speed Performance, Laurent Demius and Stanislav Jedlinski rounding out our 20 cars in that qualifying session. And Adam Christodoulou will now drive down towards the podium. There you see Alfredo Filipponi striding along the pit lane to go and talk to Adam in just a couple of minutes' time. But I'm sure that both Adam and Rima will have huge smiles on their faces. Both drivers will be absolutely delighted with that showing in Qualy.
Perfect start, Adam. Absolutely perfect start. And Adam Christodoulou is going to be delighted when he jumps out of the car, that's for sure. And I'm sure Rima Jafali and the rest of the team, like I say, what a way to enter a new race weekend, certainly here at Paul Ricard, and harnessing the best of that Mercedes AMG GT3, that is for sure. Of course, we've got plenty of others, though, clipping at the heels. Of course, I can imagine the Ferrari of Axel Jeffries will be looking to come back. Obviously, hopefully they can solve the issue, whatever's causing that electrical fault. Well, I'm sure, you know, we will, hopefully, we will, of course, see them on the grid. If they can identify it, though, I'm sure that'll be all the better. But we will keep you informed. I'm sure you will see something, that's for sure. Moritz Kranz in P3. Janine Schaffner, I think, will be delighted with that. Of course, heading up into third place. Not bad at all for the Get Speed Mercedes. And then, of course, Sebastian Bau, Glenn Van Berlo. God, Oregon would probably be wanting more out of this session.
Yeah, possibly so. I mean, neither car qualified particularly strongly at Estoril either. It's just with the pro lineup, it's more consistent across the race. And that's why we saw them pick through the Pro-Ams last time out. Here is Moritz Kranz, the third fastest driver in the session for Get Speed Performance, the Axiom Space colours. And right at the sharp end of the order, he will be delighted with that result. Axel Jeffries, second fastest. Kessel Racing with some work to do by the looks of it, but they will still be happy to be second fastest and on the front row of the grid for the race later on today. Here's Adam Christodoulou. Big thumbs up from Adam as he's just getting himself out of the car now. Trying to, anyway. Second attempt. There we go. Of course, they were backed by SPS Performance. The team hadn't officially been brought together last time out at the Estoril circuit, but now it is FIBA Motorsport proper. And Adam Christodoulou really showing what FIBA Motorsport could be capable of across the 2022 season with that result. Helmet off. I'm sure we'll hear from him in just a few seconds. You saw there, Alfredo is primed and ready to talk to Adam. And there you go. Good analysis there. That was good, says Adam Christodoulou. I think when you're half a second clear, that's putting it lightly. Let's hear from him now.
Adam Christodoulou, you were on a fast morning.
Yeah, this morning's been great. In fact, the whole weekend's been great so far. So yeah, first pole position for Thiba Motorsport. So super happy. The car felt really hooked up. We've been learning a lot this weekend just with setup, and yeah, I feel that we did a pretty special job then. So really happy.
It's of course the best way to have a racing debut for the team, and it's a very special team.
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, it's the first Saudi team, and of course it's one of these that we want to grow it more and more, have more and more Saudi people involved with it. And so yeah, huge congratulations to Rima for setting all of this up with the team behind her. And yeah, hopefully this is the start of many pole positions and hopefully many podiums and wins in the future.
How you see the race this afternoon?
I hope I can do the same qualifying times every lap and then pass over to Rima, and she does exactly the same. We had great success at the first round in Estoril with a double win, and so let's see whether we can do the same again.
All the best.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Big congratulations once again to Adam Christodoulou. He'll be on pole for the race. Make sure you join us this afternoon for the first of 2 races at Paul Ricard for the International GT Open.